Hello, welcome to Pops and Poetry. I'm your host Jessica, a writer, cannabis aficionado, and poetry lover. Today I have some poems for you that celebrate summer, arguably the most beautiful season of the year by Mary Oliver. But before I get into that, let's roll a joint and I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm smoking. You recently ran out of my tips for my joints, so I'm back to ripping off pieces of the joint container for tips, which is classic stoner ingenuity right there. I do miss having tips though, so I'll have to get some soon because these cardboards work, but they're not quite the same. So today I am smoking a type 1 flower, entirely or mostly THC. It is Lavender Fields, which is a sativa-leaning hybrid from Soul Spirit Farms, which is an earth-conscious cannabis farm up in the Emerald Triangle in Trinity County, California. I was fortunate enough to get to spend a weekend at Soul Spirit learning about how they grow their cannabis using no-till regenerative farming methods. And if you don't know, indoor cannabis cultivation is the more popular way to do it, but it also leaves a very big environmental footprint. But with sun-grown cannabis, they have tested sun-grown and indoor-grown flower and found that sun-grown flower has a wider terpene profile, a better range of minor cannabinoids, and there are actually compounds that appear in sun-grown flower that you cannot get in indoor-grown flower, which really just speaks to the incredible power of the sun and how amazing this plant is. I am rolling a small joint this morning. I am struggling to roll a small joint this morning. Because when I smoke type 1s, which are entirely or mostly THC, loose around the base, but we're just going to roll with it, they are obviously intoxicating. THC gets you high. So when I roll a type 2, which is a blend of CBD and THC, either because the flower is a type 2 or because I make my own type 2, I can have a slightly larger dose. But when I'm smoking THC entirely by myself, I need a smaller dose to ensure that I can still do everything that I need to do in a day. So it's not just about the THC percentage in your weed, it's also about what other cannabinoids are in there, what is the terpene profile, what kind of dose are you consuming. It's not just about how strong is the weed. There's a variety of factors that go into the consideration for having a good experience. I have smoked this strain a couple times before on the farm and since then because I bought a quarter of it, and I absolutely love it. Recently I've been having problems when lighting my joints with them canoeing. Not just because I choose to light these outside. So I've been trying this trick that I was told to light the joint before I inhale it and roll it evenly in the lighter. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I am filming this at a dispersed campground outside of Lake Tahoe. If you don't know what a dispersed campground is, as I didn't before I got in the van, they are campgrounds set up on federally owned land that you can stay on for up to 2 weeks completely for free. They are fantastic. They put you in some of the coolest places I have ever been. But I have some neighbors as well that you'll hear. So today, rather than picking a specific book of poetry to read from, I wanted to do a theme because it's summertime. And I love summer. My birthday's in the summer, and it's just always been a season that I look forward to. And Mary Oliver agrees. So today I have some lovely poems celebrating summer for you. This poem is called The Pond. August of another summer, and once again I am drinking the sun, and the lilies are spread across the water. I know now what they want is to touch each other. I have not been here for many years, during which time I kept living my life. Like the heron who can only croak, who wishes he could sing. I wish I could sing. A little thanks for everything would be appropriate. This is how it has been, and this is how it is. All my life I have been able to feel happiness, except whatever was not happiness, which I also remember. Each of us wears a shadow. But just now, it is summer again, and I am watching the lilies bow to each other and slide on the wind in the tug of desire close to one another. Soon now, I'll turn and start for home. And who knows? Maybe I'll start singing. Passing the unworked field. Queen Anne's lace is hardly prized, but all the same it isn't idle. Look how it stands straight on its thin stems, how it scrubs its white faces with the rags of the sun, how it makes all the loveliness it can. In preparation for filming this, I marked many more poems than I knew I'd be able to read in one video. So when I find one that makes me go, that's the one that I want to read. Honey Locust. Who can tell how lovely in June is the honey locust tree, or why a tree should be so sweet and live in this world? Each white blossom on a dangle of white flowers holds one green seed, a new life. Also, each blossom on a dangle of flowers holds a flask of fragrance called honey, which is never sealed. The bees circle the tree and dive into it. They are crazy with gratitude. They are working like farmers. They are as happy as saints. After a while, the flowers begin to wilt and drop down into the grass. Welcome shines in the grass. Every year I gather handfuls of blossoms and eat of their mealiness. The honey melts in my mouth. The seeds make me strong, both when they are crisp and ripe, and even at the end when their petals have turned a dull yellow. So it is. If the heart has devoted itself to love, there is not a single inch of emptiness. Gladness gleams all the way to the grave. I did. I thought I would lose it on that one. I am a big fan of Mary Oliver's work, but I'm also just interested in her as a person. And I was listening to a podcast about her. It was one of the last interviews she did in 2016. She died in 2019. And one of the things that she talks about in that podcast is the fact that most of her life she's been very poor. So she spent a lot of time in the woods writing poems, but while she was there, she was also gathering food to eat. And she touches on this in many of her poems, like this one where she talks about eating the honey locust tree seeds. But that's not hyperbole, it's not exaggeration. That's the way that she lived her life. And I can't say that I would pick up, a seed on the ground and eat it, but it has piqued my curiosity if I can properly identify a honey locust tree to try one once in my life. I have the last stanza of this poem highlighted because I love it. If the heart has devoted itself to love, there is not a single inch of emptiness. Gladness gleams all the way to the grave. Put this down for a minute because I'm just going to keep losing it now that it's small. That's the thing about joints. They smoke very quickly. If you're not prepared to sit down and smoke one, you're going to lose it. This poem is called Just as the Calendar Began to Say Summer. I went out of the schoolhouse fast and through the gardens into the woods and spent all summer forgetting what I'd been taught, 2 times 2 and diligence and so forth, how to be modest and useful and how to succeed and so forth, machines and oil and plastic and money and so forth. By fall I had healed somewhat, but I was summoned back to the chalky rooms and the desks to sit and remember the way the river kept rolling its pebbles, the way the wild wrens sang though they hadn't a penny in the bank, the way the flowers were dressed in nothing but light. Ah. This poem is trying to keep my hair off the mic, which has proven to be a challenge in past videos. Maybe if I can just tuck it right in there. Oh. This poem is one of Mary Oliver's most famous poems and contains one of her most well-known lines. It is called The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous, complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? The last line, the one I have highlighted, that is the question. That is the enduring question that Mary Oliver has left us with. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? My favorite month of summer is August, and it is purely for selfish reasons. My birthday is in August, and growing up that meant I got to have summer birthday parties. My parents had a pool, everybody would come over, we'd swim, we'd barbecue, we'd eat cake, and I always felt sorry for people who didn't have birthdays in the summer because it just seemed the perfect time to celebrate life. Mary Oliver, I don't know definitively whether or not she agrees, but she has many poems that reference the month of August. So I think she's inclined to agree. This will be our last poem for today. And this poem is called August. When the blackberries hang swollen in the woods, in the brambles nobody owns, I spend all day among the high branches, reaching my ripped arms, thinking of nothing, cramming the black honey of summer into my mouth. All day my body accepts what is. In the dark creek that run by there is this thick paw of my life darting among the blackbells, the leaves. There is this happy tongue. This poem, August, is the first poem that she includes from her book of poetry called American Primitive, which she published in 1983 and won a Pulitzer Prize for Poetry, so arguably her most famous book. And it seems a perfect place to end today. A little bit of cotton mouth with this one. Happens with a lot of them. this August is a particularly special August for me because I turn 30, and I can't recall the last time I was so excited to enter a new decade of life. I was pretty excited to turn 20, and I know I was pretty excited to turn 10, but I gotta say, I just love getting older. It's a blessing. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for spending some time with me, some time with Mary Oliver, and some time just taking a pause in the summer. Until I see you again, until next time, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and have a wonderful day.